tell a child in Ga2a's tale, connecting through storytelling. This is what you've come to. Find out how to create meaningful and engaging language learning opportunities for all learners through oral storytelling. Amplify the beautiful voices of wise young Palestinians as your learners listen, respond to and retell amazing culturally rich folk tales they've told the world. Deepen intercultural connections so your learners and young Palestinians can all thrive as members of our global human family. This is why we're here. I'm going to begin with a story, and this is a story that you're going to tell and retell during this workshop. So welcome to a workshop. It's a story that I learned from a young woman called Malak, and she's from Gaza. Here's a view of the sea with the sun going down from the shores of Gaza. And I've lightened it, that's going to be the background of the PowerPoint. And this is Malak. And Malak and her sister Maram came and told lots of stories between 2020 and 2023 at the World Storytelling Cafe, where I helped to set up young international storytellers during the COVID lockdown. So this first story is a story that was told in 2021, exactly on the 12th of January 2021. And Malak had already told a number of stories by then. You are going to hear Malak, but before you hear Malak, you're going to hear me telling the story in Malak's name. So listen, see how much you remember. You don't need to write or draw anything, but just see what you remember, and also see what you think of. What does this story make you think of? Are you ready? I'll say story, story. You can say tell us a story, and then we'll begin. Story, story.
Tell us a story.
A rich father took his child to a village, a poor community, to show his child just how rich we are. They spent the day with the poor villagers, and at the end of the day, as they were walking home, the father turned to his child and said, "What did you think?" "Oh, it was great, Dad." "What did you learn, my child?" "Oh, so much." "We have one dog. They have 4 dogs. We have a pool. They have a river. We buy our food. They grow their food. We have walls to protect us, to keep us safe. But they spend so much time with their neighbours. We have lights. They have the stars. We have television. Their families talk to each other. We have everything we can take from the world. And they have so much more. Dad, thanks for showing me just how poor we are. Just tell the person next to you, just for a minute, anything that comes into your mind. What do you think of when you hear Malak's story, a trip to a village? Okay, thank you. Now, I told you there would be a challenge, and there's so much to do in this session. I'm not going to be getting ideas from you all the way through. But do you think you can remember some of the things from Malak's story that were contrasted in the story? Can you already remember some of them? So could I ask you to get a piece of paper, about this size, about A4 size if you can. Get it from someone sitting near you, because some of you have paper in these days, and something to rest on. So make sure every one of you gets a piece of paper from somebody, and a pencil or a pen. And please, on the paper, can you draw a story S? Look, this is a story S. A big S on your piece of paper, like this. Fantastic. Now, as I tell the story again, I would invite you to draw on your S. Now, you can't see mine, which is good, because then you might have the same ideas as me. But this is my story S. And you'll see that I've got quick sketches, very quick, not at all artistic, just memory aids, going down both sides of the S, starting at the top and going down. These sketches are going to help me to retell the story. You might have noticed I was quickly referring to my S while I was telling the story. So this is going to help you to retell the story from Mala. So is everybody ready?
Yes.
Do pictures, words, whatever you want, but really quick, because you've only got the length of the story to do it. All right. Story.
Tell us a story.
Here's the story again. Haneen Jadallah was a man there was once a father who took his child to a poor village. He wanted this rich father to show his child just how rich they are and how poor the villagers are. And on the way back, after spending their day in the village, he asked his child, "What did you think?" "Oh, it was great, Dad." "What did you learn?" "I learned so much." "We have one dog. They have 4 dogs. We have a pool. They have a river. We buy our food. They grow their food. We have walls to protect us and keep us safe. They spend so much time with their neighbours. We have lights. They have the stars. We have television. They spend time together in their families. We have everything we can take from the world. And they have so much more. Thanks, Dad, for showing me just how poor we are. I'll give you a moment. That's really quick, wasn't it? That was really quick. Just give you a moment. You might want to just have a quick consultation with the student sitting next to you. Imagine you're in classes now, and you might want to just help each other to get through your story S's before you retell the story. So don't retell the story yet, just compare and add things from your story S's.
Yeah, I'm right.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm going to show you mine now as well, because of course we might spend a bit more time on this, depending on our class. So I told you that I'm a wonderful artist. Yeah, that anybody can do this, can't they? And it doesn't have to be, this is not for show. Students might want to keep it private, in fact, because they don't want other people to see their drawing. This is mine, and I'm not proud. Okay, so you can see the dogs, the swimming pool and the river, the shopping and the growing, the walls and the community, the light bulb and the stars, the television and the family, and taking from the world, and we have so much more. That's how I represented it. You might represent it in a completely different way. On mine, there are no words, but usually when I do it, I do have some words. Some students might write mostly words, Some students might do mostly pictures. Some students will do a combination. No right, no wrong, whatever comes up on the story S. Okay. So, with a partner, and ideally a partner, so two of you, could be a group of three, but ideally two of you, so move so you're next to somebody else, and together, could you retell Malak's story? There's no pressure, you haven't got to get it right, you haven't got to use exactly the same words as I did, have you? No, you can tell it, that's what happens with storytelling. We tell it as we remember it, as we imagine it. So could you tell the story together with your neighbour? A child's trip to a village. You can stand or sit as you prefer.
You want to start? So one day, to show outreach. So they got to the village. So the child said, maybe I where is the road? So and so oh yes, so I was thinking, what do you think? I want to the child said,
Thank you very much. Is that enough time to retell the story? Do you need more time?
Yes, can I clap for my colleague?
Can you give each other a clap? Yeah, well done. That's good. Did you remember most of the story?
Yes.
Can you remember it later?
Okay.
Of course you will. You've got the pictures. And the first time you tell the story, you might have the pictures like this. But as you get to know it, you might be able to let go of the pictures. So we'll see if you remember it at the end of this workshop. I'd like to welcome you all to this session. Special welcome to people who are joining us who've come all the way from Palestine. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you.
So, Malak told this story 2021, January, at the World Storytelling Cafe. Would you like to listen to Malak telling that story? Of course you would. And at the end of the story, you'll see that at the World Storytelling Cafe, there were adults who were interested in storytelling and children who were interested in storytelling, not only from Palestine, but also you'll see Jasmine, who comes from the Punjab in India, responding to Malak telling the story. So just enjoy Malak telling it at this safe, free online platform in 2021. But we're going to go to another storyteller who we've heard from a few times before, and she's such a great storyteller. It's Malak Al-Shurafah. So over to you, Malak.
A trip to Edinburgh. One day, a rich dad took his son on a trip to Edinburgh. He wanted to show him how food someone can eat. They spent time in a poor family. On their return from our trip, Dad asked his son, "How was the trip?" "It was a great, Dad," the son replied. "What did you learn from our trip?" Dad asked his son. The son answered, "We have one dog
today. What is wealth and what is poverty? Well, it's a very powerful story, Malak. We can learn from that story.
Wow. I'm reminded of one of my children when they were about 8 years old, and I was watching something and the television, and they suddenly turned to me and said, "Dad, you're always going on about rich people." But they go visit somewhere and all they see is the hotel and the beach. We travel around the world. We don't have 2 pennies to rub together. But we see some amazing places and meet amazing people. Who is rich? And I thought, that's my 8-year-old child. Like in your story, telling their father a lesson.
That's right. Malak, I wonder where you heard that story. It's a marvelous story. Malak, where did you learn the story?
I watched it on YouTube, and I like this, and I like the idea. I love sharing with you.
You love sharing it with us. Thank you for sharing it. So on YouTube, did you listen to it in Arabic or in English?
In English.
Ah, okay. Was it a cartoon or was it somebody telling the story?
Arabic student.
An Arabic student told the story. Fantastic. It reminded me of a book that I just found on my bookshelf that's called The Table Where Rich People Sit. And it's about a girl, you can see the picture, who thinks of all the wonderful things that you can't put a price on that she experiences with her family every day. And that's what makes them rich. So thank you for that story. I really, really, really loved it. Now I have a question. Thank you, Malak. Well, Jasmine and Farah and Hala, would you like to tell Malak what you thought of her storytelling?
It's a beautiful story. Yes, me too. I love it.
Go on, Jasmine.
It was a fantastic story. Thank you, Jasmine.
All of them from Palestine?
There's somebody in the room.
Jasmine's from India, the others are from Gaza.
Ilham, you're a teacher, aren't you?
Yeah, hello everybody. How do you do? Oh,
It's nice that you're here again, Ilham.
me too. Yeah, I have just come, but of course Malak is a brilliant girl.
Yeah, you're her teacher, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a teacher, yeah. I'm happy to be with you every Tuesday.
And Ilham, thank you so much for introducing Malak and her sister to the World Storytelling Cafe, because every week Malak tells a story, and every week it's wonderful.
Of course, she's a brilliant girl.
Thank you.
This gives you a context of how the stories came for Tell a Child in Gaza's Tale. The 85 stories I've shared, I've collected and edited from that period 2020 to 2023. And these stories are all shared on the YouTube channel and on Facebook, and there's also a Google Doc. And there's links to those I'll give you at the end. There's also a QR code down there. And you heard Farah and her sister Hala making a comment as well. And the older sister, Farah, I'll be telling a story I learned from her this evening at the story sharing event that I co-host annually. So come along and share stories from around the world.
What time?
6:45 PM it starts today.
The same room?
Lamoureux. So downstairs. 6:45. And there'll be stories from many different cultures. We've got Ariel over there. Ariel will be telling a story and singing in Welsh, and I don't know, it's going to be fantastic. And Jackie Ross, who's a Scottish storyteller and a good friend,
Will be there.
will be there as well, telling a story in Doric, which is a dialect from the north of Scotland, and you'll be able to learn a Doric story from her. She's brilliant. And Harry Kucha is co-hosting. It's going to be great. But let's stick with this. So how is it being used in English language teaching? So here's Malak, and then on the right you can see a classroom in Ireland, in a summer school. And a friend of mine, a teacher called Antonio Arjona from Spain, was teaching on this summer course in Ireland, and he said, my students, they watched first the story, then they were asked to watch it a second time and take notes if they wanted, and then they had to retell the story in pairs and send me a voice message. The students are from Spain and Italy, ages 12 to 16, and they have a great level of English. I really enjoyed doing that activity, and the children too. It made us all think. And he sent me some audio clips. And I'm not going to play an audio clip of a child retelling a story, because you know the story now, but just the end of an audio clip, because the children were invited to make comments. And one was here a child talking about what they thought is the moral of the story. I wonder if you feel similarly.
So the moral of the story is that it doesn't matter how many things you got, but as long as you're happy, there's nothing to care about.
Doesn't matter how many things you have, as long as you're happy, there's nothing else to care about.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So that's a message back to the children of Gaza from the students. Tell a Child with Gaza's Tale so stemmed out of all of these videos, and in November of 2023 I started editing and finding those videos, which were all archived on YouTube from this free online platform, which is all there for you to look at, called the World Storytelling Cafe. But to make it easier for you to find the stories, I started sharing the stories once a day on YouTube and Facebook. And then on the 1st of January, my wife and I have a wonderful friend called Haneen, and Haneen came and stayed with us, and we had the idea of starting this project, of sharing stories and inviting people all around the world, not only to listen to the stories, but even to learn the stories and retell them. Retell them respecting the original storyteller, always acknowledging the child that they learned the story from, and telling the stories in English and in any other language they speak, in classrooms, in community settings, in families, in every context. And in so doing, maintaining and celebrating these choices that the children of Gaza made. Most of the children, these are all screenshots of the children telling stories at the World Storytelling Cafe. Most of the stories chose to tell folk tales. Some chose to tell stories that they made up themselves. Some chose history stories or biographical stories. There's all sorts. Some even personal stories. Most of the stories came in before 2023, but a number of stories have arrived to me to be shared during the onslaught on Gaza over the last 16 months, which is extraordinary that they actually managed to get the stories to me to share. I'll talk more about that. So, what about these stories and how they're being retold? So on the left here you can see Zaina, who told the story, The Faithful Little Cloud, and she made it up. Absolutely wonderful story. I urge you to listen to it later. And Juan in Argentina learned that story from her and retold it last year. And about doing that, Juan wrote, I think one of the reasons I wanted to tell a story for the kids in Palestine was to give them back what I learned from them. I believe that telling their story would be a way to engage with their culture and to foster understanding and connection between us. Here's Janet. Janet actually comes from the West Bank, so nearly all of the children are from Gaza, but some are from the West Bank. She's from Hebron, and her teacher is Lamia Tamim. And one of the stories she told was learned by Sophia, and Sophia is I think she's 17, she's a student from Cuba. So there in Havana, she told the story. And Sophia said, "I've been studying English for 9 years. Telling that story was a unique experience for me because I was able to help Gaza's kids who were going through really difficult times. My message for the Palestinian children is, the darker the night, the nearer the dawn." Yesterday, I got a message from Sophia via her teacher, Miriam, saying that Sophia wants to do a storytelling course. She's 17. She wants to be a storyteller.
Me too. Me too. Me too.
This is another Malak from Gaza. And on the right, you can see teacher Haneen Khaled Jadallah from Greece, and her students are performing the story, the Aesop fable that they learned from Malak, the lion and the 2 oxen. And one of Tina's students is Mini, and she wrote, "I'm 12. I learned English for 6 years. Our teacher suggested the story and we liked it very much. I liked the rehearsal very much. We tried a lot and was a little tiring, but this is not a problem. If we help children, it's very good. For my opinion, I don't like to have wars. My message for the kids is that we want to stop the war, and we're very sad when we see them on TV crying and getting killed." So you see they had masks and performed the story in honour of the children of Gaza. Not just children, adults learning from children, isn't that great? These 2 mature learners in Italy learned the story that Banan told last year. She told this story in about, I think it was April 2024, and sent the story. Her mother, Arish, sent me the story, and I shared it. And in their English class in Italy, they learned the story, and then they performed it. And Irinea, top. I studied 5 years of English at school more than 30 years ago. I decided to take part in this project because it's interesting and engaging. Recording the video was difficult at first because I got excited and made mistakes. I learned to be more confident. For Banan and the children of Gaza, I wish the war to end as soon as possible and to live forever in peace. Here is Dima, and in 2021, Dima came to the World Storytelling Cafe for the first time and told the story of the white elephant. And even quite recently, Dima has joined me in the last months online when I've been at live storytelling events where I live in the southwest of England. She's come in on Zoom and told the story 3 years later and interacted with the audience, talked about her experience. She's not in Gaza now. She's out of Gaza. She's in Egypt, where of course she's displaced and stateless, but not in imminent danger of death. Jackie Ross, who's coming this evening to the storytelling event, was the first person to retell Dima's story. Now, when Dima told the story in 2021, it was just a couple of weeks after the previous bombing of Gaza. It seemed horrendous, it was horrendous. Of course, it wasn't on anywhere near the same scale as the current catastrophe. Dima, after she told the story, her teacher, who joined her at the World Storytelling Cafe, said a few words. I'd like you to listen to her teacher, Haneen, saying a few words in 2021.
Kid, this is very kind of you. Thanks a lot. Feeling so privileged being here among you great storytellers all over the world. I'm feeling more proud of the most creative student I've ever taught, Dima. This lovely girl was living a kind of abnormal circumstances just a few weeks ago. She was suffering from horror. She was listening to bombings every night, and still we can see that she's able to grant safety to all of us when we were listening to the story, and she's able to grant us strength and power when she was acting out all the moments in the story. And still she's very hopeful that there's goodness in the world by ending the story of saying, let's think about the goodness of the king and just forget about the treasury. So we Palestinians here from Palestine, from Gaza, we just believe that there is massive goodness in the world as long as there are people like you who are supporting our kids. Thanks a lot.
Amazing. We believe there's massive
Thank you,
goodness in the
Haneen.
world. Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you. So that was Haneen responding in 2021 to Dima, and you can listen to Dima later, telling the story of the white elephant, a story that comes from northern India, but an old story from Mughal times. You've just heard Haneen Khaled Jadallah talking in 2021. I'm glad to tell you that Haneen is here, in this room. Haneen is doing her PhD at the University of Warwick, and Haneen and I are running this project together. And I would just love to invite Haneen to speak a few words about the impact of this project.
Hello everyone, it's a great honor to be here. And my name is Haneen, I'm from Gaza City, from Palestine, and I have been in the UK since 2022, where I came for a master's and then I couldn't go back. It's great work done by David on the project Tell a Child's in Gaza's Tale. It's even more important than ever to tell these stories and retell these stories, because the impact is unbelievable on the children and teachers in and from Gaza. Storytelling is powerful. It helps us to connect to people. It helps us to connect to our students. But it's even more powerful for children who are placed in a context like Gaza, who have always been deprived of the simplest rights of living their childhood in peace, who are always threatened of being killed or being displaced, who are always on the move since they were born, and their only guilt is that they were born in Gaza, they are from Gaza. Tell a Child's in Gaza's Tale is more than an educational project. It's a way of opening hearts, minds, and help us as educators, storytellers, teachers, to take up responsibility for the children's choices, for the children's stories. Those stories, as David mentioned, were based on the children's choices. So the children from Gaza are beautiful, bright, creative human beings who have choices in life, who have dreams that they wanted to fulfill, who dreams of better life. But unfortunately, they are always not able to do that. And it's always a fight and a battle to dig in and find your way into the world. I grew up in Gaza, and I can witness the first-hand the impact of such projects on us as teachers and as students. We must take responsibility for what's happening in Gaza now and for the children in and from Gaza by telling their tale, by keeping the tale alive. And it's not about politics, it's not about wars, it's not about displacement. As you could see, it's about morals, it's about choices, it's about goodness in the world. It's in spite of the unhospitable way that the powers of the world have dealt with the children and the people of Gaza, that children are still able to show hospitality from their homes. They're still able to share stories even under fire, because they believe that their voices should be heard, their stories should be told and retold, and the world should know about them. If we can't make an immense change now, gradually, by retelling stories, by keeping these projects ongoing, we will be able to create a change at some point. We need to do something now because we want our children, our grandchildren, and the future generations to be able to live in a more peaceful, compassionate, and better world. Thanks for making your way to this session. I know that it takes a lot of courage to click on a link to attend an event about Gaza, to come to an event about Gaza, to speak about Gaza, to do a project about Gaza. So thank you for putting yourself on the right side of being educators. Thanks for listening to the stories. I would like to encourage you to take up these stories, to tell people you care about them, to take responsibility for these stories, retell them, talk to people about this. It's very, very important. Open your heart, stretch your hands, and make yourself heard for the children of Gaza. Thank you very much, David, for the care that you have showed since the beginning of November 2023 and even before that. That is much needed in today's world. Stretch your hands, open your hearts for the children of Gaza, retell our story. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Haneen. You put it so succinctly and beautifully. Haneen and I invite you all to get involved, listen to the stories, and then if you want to, take the next step and learn a story. Most of the people who've retold stories are English language teachers around the world who love telling stories. Also professional storytellers, also many people who've never told a story before, and also learners of English. You don't have to make recordings, but if you do, just share them with me and I'll share them with the world. This is Maysoon. Maysoon told the most outrageously funny story. In November 2024, Maysoon was killed in an Israeli airstrike. So let's just have a minute, because of the children in the picture that I showed you, some of them I know about, some of them I'm in contact with via their teachers or parents. Some of them I have no idea of their current circumstances. People have been displaced so many times. So let's have a minute for those who've been killed, but also for those who have survived so far. Let's have a minute of silence. Thank you. Well, let's get to the next part of the workshop, shall we? Mena, on the left, is the daughter of Luzanne, a fantastic teacher. Believe it or not, Luzanne, her mother, managed to do a storytelling course with me in the autumn from inside Gaza. She didn't just do the course, she excelled in the course. She put so much into it. She's so determined, an amazingly creative teacher. And she helped her daughter, who wanted to create a story, make up a story. Free the Bee is the story that Mena created and told and sent to me last April. And many people have retold the story. You can see Mena loves making pictures with colour. So she made a diorama, a simple wooden box with the little materials that she could get hold of and make coloured flowers and a coloured bee. I didn't have time to tell you the story right now, but you can see that diorama is kind of replicated here by students in Athens. Evi Karidi, their teacher, wrote to me and said, "Hey David, today we did Mena's story. First I told them the story involves a bee, a garden, an angry man, and a family. And I had them guess in L1, Greek, what the story's about. I invited the kids to the front of the class, and whatever ideas they gave me, we acted out in playback theatre style. Then I told them the story. Then I asked them to tell me who they thought the story was created by. And I showed the kids Mena's video and told them that she created the story. They were so impressed. Then they retold it, and afterwards we created the dioramas. Tomorrow we'll retell the story using their dioramas. Some of them asked me if they can tell another version of the story. I'm thrilled. And then lots of emojis. These are quite young learners. I think they really related to Mena. I thought this session finished at 10 past. Doesn't it? Is it 5 past this session finishes? Oh, I haven't done the rounding off. You can leave, but I'll continue. I'm serious about that. I'm completely fine with you leaving because you've got appointments. But if you haven't got an appointment and you want to, I am going to speak for another 5 minutes because it's important. I hope you don't mind. But I understand if you want to go. I didn't. That's my mistake.
Would you mind if I just take it out to the past the AGM is happening?
Okay, yeah. I literally am going to. I'll wrap up very quickly. Okay. So here is. These are adult learners learning Ga2a's story and making Palestinian Ga2a's crafts while they're retelling the story. So it's not just children. These are refugees in Manchester from different regions of Western Asia, really relating to the stories. Also making a tower of resilience out of spaghetti. It's hard. Hala has told more stories than any other child in Gaza. And Hala said, and she's told many since the onslaught began. Hello, David. Or actually, I'll read it verbatim. Hello, Mr. David. Yes, of course, it makes me happy to know that children are telling my stories. I feel very proud. I like to tell my stories to children so they can learn from them. In the end, my goal in storytelling, learning and benefiting from it. She's 40 when she started, now she's 18. These are her telling different stories at the World Storytelling Cafe. And I was going to play a video of Jana talking about her experience of telling many stories. Like Hala, she's told several stories in Hebron. But you can watch all of this. You can catch it all on the website, on the link. That's the video. I won't play it now. And I just want to quickly mention my friend and teacher, the man who led me to storytelling, Mario Involucri, who died in February, who said, "Storytelling is a uniquely powerful linguistic and psychological technique."
Yes.
Thank you for what you've bequeathed to the English language teaching community, being one of those who've put storytelling at the heart of our practice. There's nothing more powerful. So, if you go to the QR code, you can get the slides. You'll see that the slides are mostly photographs. But this last slide may be useful, because this last slide you'll find active links at the QR code, and you've got links to the project, an article that Haneen and I wrote, and then also things that I've written that are relevant about storytelling. And there are a couple of copies of my book over there. And I would like to extend the invitation again to come this evening and tell a story. And right now, if you would like to, this is a choice you have, if you would like to, just tell the story. Again, you can use your paper if you want to, but you don't have to. See if you still remember it. Stories are memorable, right? That's what they're so great about them. We remember them because they're full of meaning. So just turn to the person next to you and tell the story of a child's trip to a village.